The night was quiet on the lonely outpost, the kind of quiet that pressed against a man's chest and made him feel the weight of space itself. James lived there with only one companion, a loyal dog named Rex. The stars above shone like cold fires, but down on the ground the air felt heavy. James had grown used to silence. After the long war between humans and the alien empire, many settlements were abandoned. Only a few outposts like his remained. He liked the peace. He liked being away from noise, but that night the peace broke. Rex began to bark. Not the playful bark he used to demand food or attention. This was sharp, urgent, and deep. James sat up in his bunk. His hand reached for the old rifle leaning against the wall. Rex barked again, louder this time, and scratched at the door. "Easy, boy," James whispered. But his heart had already begun to race. The outpost was surrounded by wild forest, thick with shadows and strange alien plants. Nothing good ever came out of the forest at night. James had learned that much. Yet Rex would not stop. His growls rolled low and his fur stood up like spikes. James opened the door slowly. The cold air rushed inside, and the night smelled of wet soil and danger. Rex darted out at once, nose to the ground, tail stiff. James followed, the rifle tight in his hands. The sound of the forest was alive, rustling leaves, distant insect cries, but underneath it all, something else. Something broken, something breathing heavy. "Show me, Rex," James muttered. The dog ran ahead, pausing only to look back to make sure James was following. His barking grew sharper as they moved deeper into the dark. The light from the outpost faded behind them, swallowed by the forest. James felt the old fear crawling in his stomach. He remembered battles long ago when the same sounds of night hid enemies waiting to strike. He tightened his grip on the rifle. Suddenly Rex stopped. His bark turned into a steady growl. James stepped closer, raising the rifle. His eyes scanned the undergrowth. At first he saw nothing, just thick vines glowing faintly in the moonlight. Then he noticed a shape. Dark, slumped against a fallen tree. James froze. His breath caught in his chest. It was not an animal. It was not a broken machine. It was a body. An alien body. The figure lay half in shadow, half in pale silver light. Its skin was strange, ridged and faintly glowing in lines across the chest. Armor torn, blood seeping dark and thick into the ground. The alien was still alive, breathing raggedly. Rex whined now, stepping forward. His tail wagged slowly, but his ears were sharp. He looked at the alien, then at James, as if waiting for a command. James's heart thundered. He knew this species. He had fought them years ago. They were enemies, cruel and merciless in battle. Men had died under their blades, and now one of them lay at his feet, wounded and helpless. The rifle felt heavier. In his hands, one pull of the trigger and it would end. No risk, no danger, just silence again. That was the safe choice, the smart choice, but Rex stepped closer and sat beside the alien, his eyes locked on James, not with fear, but with trust, as if saying, "This one needs help." James shook his head, whispering, "Why boy, why him?" The alien groaned weakly, shifting. Its eyes flickered open for a moment. Bright alien eyes filled with pain, but also something else, something almost human. Then they closed again. James lowered his rifle an inch. His chest burned with conflict. Was this fate? Was this a trap? Or was this the beginning of something he could not yet see? The night pressed in around him. The forest felt even darker now. Rex barked once, sharp and clear, breaking James from his thoughts, and in that bark, in that loyal sound, James understood. Whatever this was, his life would never be the same. Again, James stood in silence, his rifle heavy in his hands. Rex sat beside the alien, tail thumping lightly as if he had already made his choice. James stared at the strange figure on the ground, blood dark against the pale soil. The alien's armor was cracked open, showing wounds that looked deep and painful. For years, James had been told these beings were enemies, ruthless killers who showed no mercy. He had seen their war machines, their fleets burning through human colonies. He had seen comrades fall in battle, and yet here was one of them, breathing weakly, fragile, broken. James knelt slowly, his breath fogged in the cold night air. He reached out and touched the alien's neck with cautious fingers. A pulse, weak but steady. Rex wagged his tail at the small movement. "Why did you bring me here, boy?" James whispered. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, half anger, half wonder. The alien shifted slightly, letting out a soft groan. Its eyelids fluttered, revealing glowing eyes for only a second. There was confusion in them, fear, and something else James could not name. Then they closed again. James pulled back his hand quickly. He wanted to stand and leave, to walk away and forget. It was not his problem, not his war anymore. But Rex whined, pressing his nose against the alien's arm. The dog refused to move. The forest around them was alive with night sounds, distant, calls of strange creatures, the rustle of hidden movements. James felt uneasy. If this alien had been left here to die, who else might be searching for him? Enemy soldiers, hunters, or worse, machines programmed to finish what had begun. The smart thing would be to end it now, one shot, and no more danger. But as James raised the rifle, Rex growled low in warning. The man blinked in surprise. His own dog was standing against him. James sighed and lowered the weapon again. He felt trapped between his own fear and his dog's strange loyalty. He studied the alien more closely. The armor was marked with strange symbols, parts of it glowing faintly. It looked like a soldier, but not the kind James remembered from the war. This one carried no weapon, no blade. James touched the broken armor near the chest. His fingers came back red. The wound was deep, too deep for the alien to survive long without help. "This is madness," James muttered. He had no reason to help, no promise of safety if he did. But still, his hands moved, pressing cloth from his pack against the wound. The alien flinched, weakly but did not resist. Rex licked the alien's face as if trying to comfort it. James shook his head. "You're out of your mind, dog." Lifting the alien was harder than he expected. The body was heavy, taller than James. The armor added weight, but James forced himself to carry it step by step back toward the outpost. Rex stayed close, ears sharp, eyes alert to the forest shadows. The night seemed longer now. The trees whispered in the wind, and James could not shake the feeling of unseen eyes watching. Every step felt dangerous, as if something was waiting for him to fail. Finally, the small outpost came into sight, its dim lights glowing weakly against the darkness. James pushed the door open and staggered inside with the alien. He laid the wounded figure gently on his bunk, his own heart racing. The alien breathed harshly. Each sound rough, James removed more of the cracked armor, revealing strange skin that pulsed faintly with light. He had never seen one this close before, not alive at least. Rex curled beside the bunk, refusing to leave the alien's side. James poured water into a cup, his hands trembling. He did not know if he had just saved a life or invited danger into his home. The alien's chest rose and fell, barely steady. James sat on a chair, staring at the figure. His mind was heavy with questions. Why was this alien here? Why alone? Why wounded? He leaned back, exhaustion pulling at his body. His rifle rested nearby, within reach. He told himself he would watch. He told himself he would not sleep. But in the silence of the outpost, with Rex guarding both man and stranger, James closed his eyes for only a moment, and outside, deep in the forest, something moved. The morning came slowly, gray light spilling into the outpost through the small window. James sat hunched on the chair, his rifle across his knees. His eyes were heavy from lack of sleep, but he hadn't dared to rest. All night he had listened to the alien's ragged breathing, half expecting it to stop, half fearing it would continue. Rex lay curled at the alien's feet. His tail wagged slightly every time the wounded figure moved or groaned. For the dog, there was no question. Rex had already decided this stranger was worth saving. But for James, the choice was tearing him apart. The alien stirred again, eyes opening for a brief moment. They were strange, glowing faintly with a light that looked alive. James felt a chill crawl down his spine when those eyes locked on his face. There was no hatred there, no threat, only pain and confusion. Then the eyes closed once more. James leaned back with a heavy sigh. He had fought these beings before. He had seen their warships tear through human fleets. He had seen villages burned. Yet now one of them was here, helpless, bleeding on his bunk. What kind of fool would keep such an enemy alive? He stood, pacing the small room. His boots thudded softly against the metal floor. His hands shook with anger, with fear, with doubt. He stopped and stared at the alien. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. "You're the reason men like me lost everything." But Rex whined softly, lifting his head. His eyes met James's, full of trust and quiet command. It was as if the dog was saying, "Do what is right." James pressed his palms against his face. His heart hammered with the weight of the decision. He could end it now, pull the trigger and bury the body in the forest. No one would ever know. No one would ever blame him, and yet he didn't move. Instead, he found himself gathering clean water, tearing strips of cloth, mixing herbs he had once used for his own wounds. His hands worked automatically, as if some unseen force guided them when he pressed the cloth to the alien's chest. The figure jerked slightly, a soft groan slipping past its lips. Rex licked the alien's arm as if to soothe the pain. James clenched his jaw. "You're lucky my dog likes you," he muttered. Hour after hour, James worked, cleaning the wounds, removing shattered pieces of armor, wrapping bandages. His thoughts battled against one another with every step. One moment he was certain he was making a mistake. The next moment he could not imagine letting the creature die. By afternoon, the alien's breathing grew steadier, shallow but no longer. Desperate, James sat back, wiping sweat from his forehead. He felt exhausted, not from the work but from the fight inside his own mind. He stared at the stranger, wondering, what if he wakes and tries to kill me? What if his people come searching? The forest outside seemed alive with hidden movement, the shadows heavier than usual. James felt it deep in his bones. Danger was not far. Something was watching, something waiting. Still, when he looked at Rex lying protectively beside the alien, James felt his chest tighten. For years he had lived alone, hardened by war and silence. Now for the first time he wondered if this broken enemy might bring more than danger. Maybe answers, maybe change. He sat again in the chair, his rifle close at hand. His decision had been made. He would keep the alien alive, at least until he understood why fate had placed him here. As night began to fall once more, James whispered to himself, "This isn't just a wounded soldier. This is something bigger." And outside, far beyond the trees, the faint hum of machines echoed through the cold air. Searchers were coming, drawn closer by every passing hour. The second night was heavier than the first. The outpost felt smaller now, filled with the sound of strange breathing and the weight of unspoken questions. James sat at his small table, staring at the alien lying on his bunk. The bandages he had wrapped were stained dark, but the bleeding had slowed. Rex lay curled near the door, ears twitching at every sound from outside. The dog had not slept properly since finding the stranger. Every noise from the forest made him lift his head and growl low. James felt it too, a pressure in the air, as if the night itself was hiding eyes that watched them. He leaned closer to the alien, studying the ridges along its skin, glowing faintly like lines of fire beneath the flesh. He had never seen one of their kind up close, not like this. In the war, they had been distant figures behind armor and weapons. They had been monsters, faceless and merciless. Now this one looked almost fragile. Then the alien stirred, its lips moved, whispering words James did not understand at first. The voice was weak, almost broken, but the sound carried a strange rhythm. James frowned, leaning closer. "Speak slowly," he said, though he doubted the alien could hear him. The words came again, this time clearer, not in the alien tongue but in rough, broken English. "Danger, coming, not safe." James froze. His eyes narrowed. "What danger?" he whispered. The alien coughed, the sound harsh and painful. His eyes flickered open, glowing faintly in the dim light. "Hunters, searching for me." His voice was heavy, each word forced through pain. If they find you, they kill you too. James felt the blood drain from his face. He had suspected something was out there, but hearing it confirmed made the silence outside more terrifying. He glanced at Rex, whose ears were already raised, growl rumbling low. "Why are they hunting you?" James asked. His voice was sharp, demanding. The alien's lips trembled as if he wanted to speak but feared the words themselves. Finally, he whispered, "I escaped." His eyes closed again, his body shaking weakly. James leaned back, the chair creaking. The word echoed in his mind. Escaped. Escaped from what? From his own people? From a prison? From a mission gone wrong? Whatever it was, it had followed him here. For the first time in years, James felt the taste of war on his tongue, that bitter edge of danger pressing closer. He stood and checked, his rifle loading fresh rounds with steady hands. His heart pounded. Not with anger now, but with cold readiness. Rex barked suddenly, sharp and loud. The sound echoed through the outpost like an alarm. James spun to the window. His eyes scanned the tree line. At first, he saw only shadows. Then, faint red lights flickered between the trees, moving slowly, deliberately. Drones. James cursed under his breath, his grip on the rifle tightened. If they were drones, then soldiers were not far behind. He glanced at the alien who lay still, whispering softly in his own tongue, words James could not understand. The outpost no longer felt safe. He had brought the war back into his life by saving this stranger. Now the forest was closing in on him. He knelt beside Rex, resting a hand on the dog's neck. "It's starting again, boy," he whispered. Rex growled low. Eyes locked on the red lights outside, James returned to the bunk, staring down at the alien. His voice was low but fierce. "If you've brought your war to my door, you'd better be worth it." The alien's eyes flickered open again, weak but steady this time. He whispered just one more word, a word that sent chills crawling through James's skin. "Counsel." Then he slipped back into silence, leaving James to wonder if the whispers of war were far bigger than just a wounded soldier in his bed. And outside, the red lights grew brighter, moving closer with every passing second. The outpost was quiet again, but it was not the peace James once knew. It was the silence before a storm, the kind that carried weight. Rex sat near the alien's bunk, ears sharp, his eyes moving between his master and the stranger. The glow of the alien's skin pulsed faintly in the dim light, like embers hidden under ash. James leaned against the wall, rifle resting across his lap. His mind raced with questions. The word counsel still echoed in his thoughts. He knew the alien had revealed more than he intended, and James knew something dangerous was coming. The alien stirred, groaning. As he pushed himself slightly upright, James raised the rifle, instantly aiming at the figure. His finger hovered near the trigger. "Don't move," he warned. His voice was hard, almost cold. The alien's glowing eyes opened, weak but steady. He looked at the rifle, then at James. His lips moved slowly. "You saved me." The words were broken, heavy with an accent. "But you do not trust me." James gave a sharp laugh, bitter and dry. "Trust? Your people killed mine. You burned colonies, destroyed fleets. I'd be a fool to trust you." The alien lowered his gaze, his breathing shallow. "War, lies," he whispered. "Not all wanted it." Rex barked softly, tail wagging once. He moved closer to the alien as if offering comfort. James felt anger rise inside him. "Don't," he snapped at Rex. "Don't you dare forget what they are." But Rex ignored him, pressing his nose gently against the alien's arm. The alien raised a trembling hand and let it rest on the dog's head. For a moment, something passed between them. An unspoken bond James could not understand. James clenched his fists. His heart was torn. One part screamed that he was making the biggest mistake of his life. Another whispered that maybe, just maybe, Rex saw something he couldn't. The alien's voice broke the silence. "They will come if they find me. You die too." His eyes flickered up, locking with James. "But if you let me go, they hunt me. You live, James narrowed his eyes. So what are you saying? That I should carry you out into the forest and throw you to your own hunters? The alien shook his head weakly. No, I need you. His voice was faint, almost desperate. You know this world, I don't. If I am to live, you must help. James stepped closer, pressing the barrel of the rifle against the alien's chest. Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you right now, he growled. The alien did not flinch. His eyes glowed brighter, steady. Because if you kill me, the war never ends. His words were sharp despite the weakness in his voice. I hold proof, evidence of lies, corruption. Your people, my people, both betrayed. James froze. His chest tightened. He wanted to call it madness. Lies, to save his own life. But the alien's voice held no trick, only pain and truth. Rex barked again, this time louder. He stood between James and the alien, tail stiff, ears raised. The message was clear. The dog had chosen a side. James lowered the rifle slowly, anger boiling inside him. Damn it, Rex, he muttered. His dog had forced his hand. He could not pull the trigger now, not with those loyal eyes staring at him. The alien leaned back. Exhausted from speaking, his voice was almost gone. Trust in his choicing, he whispered. If you walk away now, you choose war. If you help, maybe peace. James turned away, gripping the rifle so tightly his knuckles turned white. He hated the choice. He hated the risk. But deep inside, he knew the truth. His dog was never wrong. For the first time, James spoke not as a soldier, but as a man. His voice was low, heavy with conflict. If you betray me, I'll end you myself. The alien gave a slow nod, eyes closing, his breathing steadied. And for that fragile moment, trust, thin as glass, sharp as a blade, was born between them. Outside, the forest shifted again. Red lights blinked faintly in the distance, growing closer with every passing night. The night pressed against the outpost walls like a living thing. James barely moved from his chair, his rifle always within reach. The alien slept fitfully on the bunk, whispering in a strange tongue. His glowing skin pulsed faintly with each shallow breath. Rex lay in between them, a silent guardian. James could not rest. Every sound outside made him tense. Every flicker of red light in the trees reminded him of the danger. He kept replaying the alien's words in his mind. Proof, corruption, peace. Was it true? Or just a trick to keep himself alive? As dawn broke, a pale light spilled across the small room. James stood slowly, stretching sore muscles. He stared at the alien, wondering how much longer he could keep him here without being discovered. The searchers would not stop. If they caught the alien inside his outpost, they would call James a traitor. The alien stirred, opening his glowing eyes. His voice was weak, but clearer than before. You don't believe me, he said. The words carried a sad certainty. James narrowed his eyes. Why should I? You're my enemy. You expect me to risk everything because you whisper about peace? The alien coughed, wincing as pain racked his body. Enemy, because leaders told us they needed war, they needed fear, you and I. We are soldiers. We never chose. James hesitated, his chest tightening. He remembered his friends who had died, their screams echoing in his memory. Had they really been sacrifices for lies? He shook the thought away, refusing to let doubt weaken him. Rex barked suddenly, sharp and urgent. James rushed to the window. His heart dropped. Between the trees, red lights blinked closer now, slow and deliberate. The hunters were near. James gritted his teeth, turning back to the alien. If I keep you here, they'll find you, and me too, so tell me, are you worth saving, or are you just dragging me to my death? The alien met his gaze, steady despite the weakness in his body. If they find me, they silence truth. If you hide me, maybe truth survives, but you must choose. Ally or executioner. James felt the weight of the choice crush down on him. If he turned the alien over, he would be safe but haunted. If he helped him, he would be hunted for treason. His hands shook as he lowered his rifle. "Damn it," James muttered under his breath. "I don't trust you, but I don't trust them either." The alien gave a slow nod, his voice almost calm. "Then we are allies." For now, James hated the word, but it felt right. He had no one else, no army, no command, only his dog and this wounded stranger who carried secrets bigger than both of them. Rex wagged his tail, letting out a short bark as if confirming the decision. James knelt and rubbed the dog's head. "You've started something I can't finish, boy," he said softly. He stood again, moving quickly now, packing supplies, checking weapons. If the hunters came, the outpost would not hold. They had to move. The alien tried to sit up but groaned in pain. James caught him before he fell. "If you're going to survive this, you need to move. No more lying in bed." His voice was rough but not unkind. The alien nodded weakly. "I try." With effort, James helped him stand. The alien's weight leaned heavy on him, but step by step they managed. Rex circled them, ears alert, nose to the air. The decision had been made. There was no turning back. James whispered under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. "Enemy or ally, I'll find out soon enough." And as they stepped outside into the cold forest, the red lights flickered closer, shadows moving with silent precision. The hunt had begun. The forest was darker than usual, though the sun had barely begun to rise. Tall trees blocked most of the light, and the mist clung to the ground like a heavy blanket. James moved carefully, supporting the wounded alien with one arm and holding his rifle in the other. Rex led the way, nose to the ground, ears twitching at every sound. Each step was slow, difficult. The alien leaned heavily on James, his breath short and strained. Every time he stumbled, Rex stopped and barked softly, waiting until they caught up. The dog's sharp eyes scanned the shadows, always searching. James whispered, "You hear something, boy?" But he didn't need an answer. He could feel it too. Something was following them. The faint hum of machines buzzed through the trees, sometimes near, sometimes far. The alien spoke weakly. "Hunters. They track energy, armor, my blood." His glowing veins pulsed faintly under the bandages. James cursed under his breath. "You're a damn beacon." Rex suddenly froze, tail stiff, body crouched low. His growl rolled deep from his chest. James raised his rifle, heart pounding. The mist ahead shifted and faint red lights blinked between the trees, moving slowly but surely toward them. "Down," James hissed, dragging the alien behind a fallen log. Rex stayed in front, teeth bared. His eyes never left the shadows. The machines passed by. 3 drones, floating low, their red sensors sweeping across the forest floor. James held his breath. The alien's trembling body pressed against him. Rex didn't move, not even a paw, only his growl vibrating softly in the air. One drone paused, its light hovering dangerously close. Rex's ears twitched, his growl deepened, but he didn't bark. He waited, waiting for the exact moment. The drone shifted and moved on, the hum fading into the distance. James exhaled shakily, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Good boy," he whispered, scratching Rex's fur. The alien's eyes glowed faintly. "Your animal saved us," he whispered. James looked at Rex and nodded. "He's got instincts better than any scanner." Rex barked once, short and sharp, then trotted ahead. His body moved with purpose, as if he already knew where to go. James frowned. "Where are you taking us, boy?" They followed, deeper into the forest, over rocks and through thick vines. The alien stumbled often, but Rex never slowed. He would stop, look back, and bark until James and the alien caught up. Hours passed, the forest growing stranger. The trees, twisted in unnatural shapes, their bark glowing faintly with ancient markings. James frowned, running his hand across one. "These aren't just trees," he muttered. The alien's glowing eyes widened. His voice carried awe despite his weakness. "Old ones. Ruins. Older than your kind, older than mine," Rex barked excitedly, leading them into a clearing. At its center stood a massive stone arch, half buried in moss and vines. Strange symbols glowed faintly across its surface, pulsing like a heartbeat. James stared in shock. What the hell is this? The alien touched the stone with trembling fingers. His voice was reverent. A gate. Hidden. Forbidden, my people. Fear it, your people. Never knew it. James tightened his grip on his rifle. His instincts screamed this was dangerous. Yet Rex wagged his tail, barking happily, circling the arch as if he had led them to something important, something meant to be found. The alien turned to James, his voice weak but firm. This place, not accident, your dog. Led us here, he knows. James looked at Rex, who stood proudly before the glowing arch, ears perked, eyes bright. It was as if the dog had always known the way, as if instinct had guided them to this exact place. For the first time, James wondered, if this was more than survival, maybe Rex had dragged them into something bigger than both man and alien, something ancient, something dangerous. And somewhere beyond the mist, the hunters' machines buzzed louder, closing in.